Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. Joey, what do we have here?
We've got an airport
pinball machine. We're going from beginning to end on this one. Our buddy Chris brought this to us to fix for him. Joe, did you write down what's wrong with it?
Yeah, I wrote down exactly what was wrong with it.
Okay.
Word for word.
So you've got like a note.
Yep.
It's all written down. I can look at it later.
Everything that's wrong with it. I got everything detailed just how you like.
Okay, cool. Great. That's awesome. All right, because we've talked about that before. All right, so this is the body of it. Boy, these are the cool ones, Joe. Little Gottlieb. A little bit more shallow body. You know what? Are those the right size legs that we were looking at just now?
They're going to have to work.
So Chris brought us some legs, but he's going to buy new legs. So we got to see which legs go on it, but we'll figure that all out. And then here is the head. That goes on that part. All right, so we're going to set it up, and we'll go from there. This is also a box full of stuff for it that he already ordered. So we just figured we'd show you how it looked when it was broke down and delivered to us. Okay, folks, we got her set up on her feet. Good looking little game. Look at it. Very nice. I think Gottlieb had the best. Their pinball machines look cooler because they're not as deep. They just look more 60s, you know. I like it. Very cool. So I think first thing we'll do is take the glass off. We were noticing as we messed with it, playfield's a little rough. It's going to need some work up here. Just my opinion. We're going to lose a lot of this paint whenever we go to clean it up, but we'll just touch it up, make it look good. There's a lot of the paint is very loosely adhered at this moment, but I think it'll clean up good, and then we'll touch it up and make it look nice. The plastics are in good shape, with the exception of this one, which is clearly broken in half. So we'll have to see what we can do about that as well. Coin door's pretty decent. The little insert plates need some attention. Cabinets, you know, just the normal wear. Cool design. Beautiful. Back glass looks awesome. I'm sure there's some wear here and there on it, but all right, so let me slide the glass out, and then we will look underneath the playfield and see what we're starting with here. Well, they've hacked the hell out of it. I mean, this is some of the most extensive hacking I've seen on anything. First of all, I couldn't lift the playfield because of this little number. So it's not long enough to reach. So what's going on there is they've removed the original flippers and put different ones in, and then just hardwired wires to the coils. I think I'd like to reverse that. I don't know why people do crap like that, because you don't get like a real advantage from that, you know. So normally there is a flipper switch right here, and there is a piece of metal right here on a hinge. You can see the screw holes. And so when you press the button, it moves that little piece of metal. It's like a wire, basically, which hits the switch that is right there. But since they've removed that, I don't know if they make those new, that little metal piece that goes there. Maybe. Or there, I might be able to find a used set somewhere. So I don't like that. Okay. So there's that. That's some hackage. And then we've got this crap. The wiring to the pop bumpers. I think this goes here. There's a fuse that's got wires cut off of it. The bracket for this is down inside of it, so it's there. And then we've got this. Wires removed from the pop bumper relays. And then we've got this. So part of this will just be figuring out what in the hell were they doing. Yeah, see, look, here's more wires. These have been added as well. So they rewired every coil under the playfield. Took out a fuse, or added a fuse, and threw away half of the flippers. Other than that, the thing looks pretty clean. All right. So we'll have to figure that out. So on the mech board, I also see something missing. I hope that's not a stepper of some sort. I don't think it is because there's not enough wires there. Maybe it's... We've got the schematics. I mean, we'll figure it all out, but sometimes you just go, what in the world were they thinking? But we'll get it. I think the first step is I'll pull the playfield completely out, go put it over to the side. We'll figure that out later. But we gotta work this mech board and get it all working first, and see what we run into. All the stuff on the bottom of the playfield we'll figure out. Also, I'll look on the I'll look online and see if I can find those flipper parts. It's not too severe. I just need the switches that go on the playfield, and I need the little metal part that goes behind the buttons. All right, so I put the word out looking for our levers. We'll figure out what this is soon. Yeah, everything just needs cleaned up a little bit. Someone has replaced the fuse holder, I think. That one looks pretty good. I see a broken piece of glass back there. That usually means that the playfield glass has been broken at some point. Pretty common. All right. The relay bank looks all right. I don't see any more hackery or fudgery. Everything looks okay. So I'm going to vacuum this out. And then we got to start cleaning relays and cleaning switches. What do you think about that? All right, so I've been going through cleaning the stuff, and one of the things that we need to fix is this little blade is broke. So there is a little blade, it's a brake, that goes right there, and it has a little bump on it, so as this turns around, it kind of catches it, and it helps it stop exactly on the home position. And if that thing is broken, you'll have problems where it goes a little bit too far or whatever, whenever it's spinning around instead of stopping right on home. So it's real common for those to be broken. So you can buy these brand new. So it's real simple. I just need to take those two screws loose and put a brand new one in there. And that's the first thing. I think next we'll see what these are. Alright, so vacuuming everything out, I actually found part of the original one. And the little break here matched the break in there. So we've replaced it now. Now, I'll illustrate to you what that does. This is the motor run-out switch, it's called. If you look, see the orange and green wire there? Right? If you look at the motor, there's also an orange and green wire. Two of them, actually. Well, no, just one of them. No, two of them. I was right. Okay. So, to start the motor, there's a bunch of relays that can start the motor turning. And the motor is how it kind of does its math and makes things happen. So, for instance, like the out-hole relay. So, if the ball is on the playfield, you're hitting things. You know, you could hold the ball on the flipper. It might get stuck. It might be there for 20 minutes. The motor will not be running. But when the ball lands in the out-hole, eventually the out-hole relay will turn on, or maybe immediately. I don't know how this game is designed, but the out-hole relay will pull in, and that will start the score motor because it needs it to do things like count down bonuses or count up the ball count unit or something, whatever, right? So whenever the out-hole relay turns off, this is the motor run relay. A switch. It might be like right here, and the out-hole relay turns off. That's no bueno. Because it needs to be at its home position. So on this cam, on this Gottlieb score motor, there are 3 home positions because that switch opens at 3 positions. So what happens is, let's say you were right here, this switch is open. The out-hole relay closes and it sends power to the orange and green wire, which just happens to be connected here, but it's also connected to the motor, okay? And then it starts the score motor turning. And let's say the score motor is counting down the bonus, and it gets to right here, and it's still counting down the bonus. Well, the switch that runs the motor has opened again. But that's fine because the out-hole relay is still pulled in. And so let's say it gets to right here, and you know what? It's finished with the out-hole relay. It kicks the ball out and whatever, and the out-hole relay turns off. Well, that means the out-hole relay is no longer holding this on, but it's not at its home position. So that switch stays closed until it gets to the home position. Bam, and then it opens and it'll stop right there. Now if you look, here's our brake that what we just replaced. See how it's bent right now? That's because it's starting to do its thing. There's a bar down there. I can't really show you too easily right now. You're going sideways. You're going sideways. Oh, no. See the bar that it's hitting it? And see how it pulled it back in? Now watch when we get back to the home position. So when this falls down in here, we're at home. See how it's straight? Wicky, wicky, wick. See how this is starting to pull up, so it's like pressed up against that little bar, and that bar has just got to that little lump in that. So it's just a way of slowing this down as that bar goes by it. You can see the rivet right here. That is the bar. So there's one there, there's one there, and there's one there. And so it just as it touches that brake and the brake starts pushing against it a little bit is when it pops in there. And they just do that so that it stops at the exact spot. If you didn't have that, it might run a little farther. Maybe it'd stay like that. You're still off, but it might have screwed something else up, You might get some timing issues. So that's why they do it. So, we got that. Now, these 2 wires here. I have looked in the schematics, and believe it or not, I don't think they're in the schematics, but I think I know what they are. So, using our clues, it's right here at the front of the game. You can see it through the coin door. There's a power wire, and then another wire that appears to be green and yellow. And then there are 2 screws, and some kind of flat-looking thing was there. Notice there's no other screws. It's just those 2. Now, notice there are also 4 screw holes here, but it doesn't appear anything's ever been in there. Those might not even be screw holes. Maybe that's, yeah, here's 2 more. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screw holes right there, but it doesn't look like anything's ever been in them. So what in the world is that? Well, if you go to ipdb.org, that's the Internet Pinball Database, they have tons of pictures of every pinball machine, pretty much. And although they don't have any pictures of the inside of a Gottlieb airport, they have pictures of the inside of a Gottlieb College Queens, which is the 4-player version of airport. Has a completely different theme, but the playfield is exactly the same, therefore it plays exactly the same, it just has different art. And if you look at the front of it, you see what the extra little holes are for. You can even see them in the picture. See these? It's so they can mount these little adjustment things, right? So that particular one, I don't know what that adjustment is. You know, I can't read it. Oh, wait a minute. We can zoom in. Let me zoom this out. Let me zoom this in. Here we go. We're in there like swimwear. Let's see if we can read it. That says first and second shoot adjustment. So that's just a way to change how many quarters it takes for the or how many dimes or whatever it takes for what each shoot does on the game. And then this one is probably some kind of replay, not replay, but some kind of thing. Well, that might actually be similar. These two may be working in tandem. And then this one here is the 3 and 5 ball adjustment. So we've got this one and this one, but we don't have this one. It must just be the way our coin door is set up, right? But you can see that our missing item is a coin meter, which makes sense because it's right inside the door where the operator could get the money, glance in there at the meter and see how much money he's supposed to have. And if you look, looks like there was a little board attached to the left that had a couple little things on it, little mounts on it. See the little black lines? That's the leads to the coin meter. And then you can see that one appears to be our green and yellow line, and that one appears to be our double black line. So I'm pretty positive our coin meter is missing, but that you don't have to have a coin meter. Now, why would that be missing? Because these operators were very particular about who they sold pinball machines to. So a lot of operators, and this is going to sound crazy, you're not going to believe this, but I'm telling you it's the truth. I've had operators tell me this. I worked for an operator and he was the same way. If they were, let's say that they have their airport pinball machine and it's they're no longer going to use it. They're done with it. They done moved on. They got all the new stuff. Maybe they even got the solid state games in now, and it's 1978. And they're going to sell their 1969 airport. Well, who are they going to sell it to? Another operator's not going to buy it, so they're going to sell it to somebody for their house. Okay? So they were willing to do that, but what they didn't want you doing was, let's say that your brother-in-law owns the bowling alley, and they sell you a pinball machine, and you take it down to the bowling alley, and your brother-in-law lets you put the thing in the bowling alley, and now people really like that game, and they start playing the hell out of it, and they won't play the operators' games that are sitting there next to it or something. You would be their competition, and they sold you the game. So these operators, whenever they sold these games for home use, they would take out a lot of the coin crap. They would take out the coin mechs and the chutes and even some of the relays and the coin meters and all kinds of stuff. And you run into stuff where the coin side of it has been completely screwed up because the operator wanted to make sure that you couldn't possibly operate it if your brother-in-law owned the bowling alley. And a lot of operators were really superstitious too. So it's just how they are. That's part of what makes them what they are. Think about it. They're kind of offshoots of carnies. It's a good thing. you know, a carny is a good thing. Do you hate the people that run the carnival? No, they're cool. They come into town every once in a while. You might be happy when they leave, but for a little while they're there running the rides. You hope nobody gets hurt, right? So that's kind of how the operators are. People hate them and think that they were all out trying to steal money from you and everything, but that's not how it was. They were just a unique type of person, and they brought you all of the entertainment with these pinball machines, because if it wasn't for them making money on them, you would have never even been able to play them. Right? So we're just missing our coin meter. No big deal. Okay, so the next two-player game that they made, since College Queens was a four-player, the airport's a two-player, just double, triple checking. The next two-player game that they made was Wild Wild West, and this was what it looks like looking in the front door of Wild Wild West. So you can see the coin meter there, and it looks like maybe that little stand with the two terminals is behind it on this one. And then you can see some of the stuff there to the right of it. So, fairly confident it's just the coin meter. All right, so that solves that mystery. So I think I will just... You know, I've got to leave these black wires here because they daisy chain all that together. So that's going to run off and run, you know, the motor and all kinds of stuff. Or maybe not the motor, but whatever. So we've got to leave that. So I'll just tape it up. And I'll like maybe bend this back over itself and tape it up so that they don't short out. So everything looks pretty good down here. Everything adjusted out. Everything was cool. Only problem being the flippers. I've been looking for those, haven't been able to find them. I put the playfield back in, although we haven't done anything to it yet. And there's all kinds of cut wires on it. All of that can be just put back how it was, which is what I plan on doing. But you know what? We probably ought to take another look at the back of the machine to see if there's anything crazy going on back there. Okay, I don't see anything that's been altered in the back, but I'm working through it, just looking at stuff. I think I showed this earlier, this sleeve, and this is messed up. So I'm screwing around with the 0 to 9 unit. Now, when it pulls in, it should move it up one position, but it ain't doing much. There we go. Started acting right. It's kind of sticky and not doing too great. So we're going to take it partially apart. I'm going to take this disc off. That's step one. Okay, so I took that apart, and you can see that it's still not moving right. So what would that be? Well, if you look right here, this is pretty common. There's supposed to be a coil stop in there that this plunger goes through here and hits. And it looks like there's some kind of cobwebs or something in there. You mess around with it, it works, but so this ain't right. There's pieces missing and stuff. Let's pop that open and see what's going on. So I found the little slug inside of the sleeve. That's actually a really common problem. So this mounts like that, and when the plunger pulls in, it hits that. And over time, these are prone to snap. Sometimes this entire bracket will break right there. They make a replacement for this. I don't know that it will fit this bracket, but I think it will. So I'm going to look it up and see if I can just get a replacement instead of having to buy the whole thing. All right, so we'll have to wait on that part. What I did was I left the plunger out of it so we can still play around with it as we're waiting on the part. I cleaned the rivets. I just used sandpaper, really light sandpaper. And then I put a little bit of Super Lube multi-purpose synthetic grease on it. It is a dielectric. That's what you want. It helps it slide, people. It helps these little snowshoes travel over the rivets. Now, we don't have the coil is mounted in there, but we don't have the plunger in it, but you can do it by hand. Ooh. This seems to be moving really good. You can see it making its little snow tracks. right? And on this particular one, since it just goes in one direction, and there's no home switch or anything on the back or anything, you don't really have to make sure this is orientated any specific way. You just need to make sure that it lines up on the rivets as it goes around, right? So you want the little shoes to line on the rivets. Perfect. Perfect. So that thing works fine. It's just the plunger's not in it because the coil stop's not in it. If we were to leave that plunger in there while we were playing with it and testing things, it might, you know, break the bracket or something crazy. So it looks to me like that hasn't been working in a long time. So let's see if it's only used for the match or what the 0 to 9 unit is used for on a Gottlieb pinball machine of this vintage. Okay, so we recently did a video on a Williams Pat Hand pinball machine where they used the match unit, as they called it, in a creative way. This is the 0 to 9 unit on a Gottlieb pinball machine, which is used also as the match unit. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the schematics. This is for an airport. Now the schematics for Gottlieb games are still copyrighted. So they retain their trademarks and copyrights. Someone asked on a previous video if you got a copy of these with your machine. You did. Back in the day, they gave you a copy. So the company that owns the trademark Gottlieb still protects their trademark. They use it as a way to license products, and they make an income from it. So if you need any schematics for any pinball machine, and also for Gottlieb machines, they sell them at the Pinball Resource. So go to pbresource.com. It's a great company, and some of the money they make from these schematics and things, they use to help develop new replacement parts that we need to maintain these machines. So it's a good thing. People try to make it a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and it's not expensive. These things are huge, and they're like $15 or something like that, right? For a nice, clean, clear, licensed copy of the schematics, it's well worth it. And they sell all the little parts like that little coil stop that we need, things like that, right? Sometimes when the stuff, some of the other companies that don't have, well, I'll just leave it at that. You understand what I'm saying, right? They use the money from this. It's not they're just getting rich off of it. They're using the money to create parts that we need to maintain these old games. The idea that they still retain their rights actually helps them keep making replacement parts. So we're happy about them. And it's not, the Pinball Resource does not own Gottlieb. They are paying for the right to use their name and to reprint their schematics and stuff like that. This is a good company. Okay, so they use it in 3 places on the schematics that I can find. Now, one place is right here. So they are using one of these little snowshoes that we were looking at to connect a couple spots to help make the match work. So at the end of the game, let's say that the first player has a 0. Power will connect through. If the 0 to 9 unit is on whatever is on the 0 position, bam, you'll get a replay. So that's how the match works. Also, the second player does the same thing, right? And then the other thing that they use it for is the lights to make that work. So at the end of the game, I think this is the game over relay. At the end of the game, it's on position 0. It will light up the 0 match light. Right? So they also need a set of snowshoes for that. But if you look on the machine, there's 3 sets of snowshoes. So what are they doing with the third one? So it's over here. 0 to 9 unit, and then it says alt. Alternating. So those 2 little rivets will connect to each other in an alternating fashion. So they'll connect, and then they'll be disconnected, and they'll connect, and they'll be disconnected, and they'll connect, and they'll be disconnected. And what that does is it turns on the J relay. Okay, so if it's on the position of the match unit where that's connected, it turns on the J relay. And then whenever that moves one position, it will no longer be connected. It'll alternate to not connected. And the J relay will go off. So what are they using the J relay for? Well, one of the things is right here. If the J relay is off, then power is connected to the left 10 times value when lit light. This is on the left Vari-Target on the playfield. We'll look at that in a later video. If the J relay is on because the alternating contacts are connected on the 0 to 9 unit, then this will be on. And now the left 10 times value when lit light won't be on. The right 10 times value when lit light will be on. So it's a way to wig-wag back and forth between the left and the right side, scoring a certain way, right? Now, for that to score like that, they also have to make it actually work, right? It's not just turning on the light. So the J relay also moves some stuff here, which either turns on the L relay, which is the 100-point relay, or the M relay, which is the 10-point relay. So the target's worth 10 points, but if the J relay is the other way, the target is now worth 100 points. And it bounces back and forth, alternates from left to right of the playfield. So, in other words, since that thing probably hasn't been running, it's probably been stuck where the Vari-Targets don't, the value doesn't change back and forth from left to right. And how sad is that? I mean, really, the poor game was crippled like that. So we're waiting on the part on that one. This one is the ball count unit, and it's different. See how it has this extra coil on the top? That's because it can go both ways. So it can step it up, and then it can reset it. So those are particular about where the disc unit or the platter is mounted. So we're going to remember that it's on the third rivet. Hopefully that's correct. And that the front adjustment looked like this. Now if you loosen those 3 screws, you could move this in those slots, right? But they have it at the moment where it's on the third, so hopefully that's correct. So I'm going to take this off so I can clean those rivets and use the dielectric grease on it as well. So I cleaned it up, and now it seems to move very well. Look at that. Boy, that looks perfect, doesn't it? Very cool. So I think that's right, but I'm going to step it up off of home just to see if it resets at the beginning of the game. So I think we're ready to like at least just try to limp it along to see if the lights will come on or anything. Remember, on the bottom of the playfield, we've got all that stuff just hanging unhooked. There's a bunch of stuff that ain't right. But we may be able to see if it'll at least try to start a game or something like that. So let's see what condition the thing is in after we've worked through everything on the mechanism board and the 2-stepper units in the back. I also cleaned all these relays. I didn't show all that, but I haven't done the score motors yet. I mean the score reels yet. As you know, I have to get in the mood for that. So I might, get drunk and then try those. Okay, so let's plug her up and see if she'll do anything. All right, we got her plugged up. Hopefully nothing catches on fire. Ooh, it looks good. Boy, it's a nice looking game. Very colorful. Nothing on the playfield yet, except this. But I think that's how it's supposed to be because it's tilted. So let's do what we usually do. We'll kill the lights. A customer came in. Okay. Boy, it looks good. So let's see if we can't play it. Flippers ain't gonna work. Usually on some of these, there's a left. You hit the left flipper to get it to light up, but I don't know. Let's see if it'll do anything. Mainly, it should reset the ball in play, which is on 2. It should reset the scores back to 0, which it may or may not do because I haven't cleaned those yet. And there's no bonus on the playfield, so there's no bonus to reset. It will reset probably both of these Vari-Targets, and then it should kick the ball out. Now, is it going to do all that? It might. Ha! And y'all doubted me. Come on. The only thing it didn't do was reset this left Vari-Target. These are really cool. These Vari-Targets, if you haven't seen them, they're very cool. Some people hate them, but some people are just haters. If you hit the target, depending on how far you hit it back, you get a different score. One of Gottlieb's great inventions. Boy, it's a good-looking little game. This has just got a nice vintage to it, you know? I love this era. Looks cool. Looks like a pinball machine. We can't play it. All the rubber rings are broke. A bunch of them have been removed, actually. And the flippers, some hack rewired. Let's see, though, if anything happens if we, like, it says 50 points or 300 points when lit. Let's see if it'll try to score. It tried. It went click, 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 but it only moved 2. It went click, click, click again, but only moved 2. Score reel needs a little help. So let's see if we get 50. Yeah! It just can't count, but it's trying. We can't do the pop bumpers because half of those aren't wired up. A lot of the coils aren't wired up. Also probably 50 points, so it's just gonna... If you look, a lot of the things score the same thing on most playfields. 100 points when lit. So probably, oh yeah, it says 10 points or 100 when lit. Oh, it made it just barely. Beautiful. What a cool game. All right, folks, so that's it for now. I've got to order a ton of parts for this thing. We've still got to do the score reels, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff under the playfield we need to do. There's still a lot of work to do. We got to repaint part of the playfield. So several more videos on this one coming, but we'll see you on the next one. Leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think so far. We have I believe we've got a video on here of our college queens from many years ago, which is the 4-player version of this game, but it has a completely different theme. It has nothing to do with an airport. Layout on the playfield, though, is identical. So that's kind of neat that they had the guts to do that. So you can watch that video here on our channel if you'd like. But leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. And don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. My brother has his own channel here on YouTube. Joey and I work on arcade games, pinball machines, and jukeboxes. My brother Donnie works on old buildings, old vehicles, and has a farm. So we have a lot of fun over there on his channel. I'm usually over there with him, but I'll see you back here in a couple days where we'll continue on this beautiful Gottlieb Airport pinball machine.